tax season sales event. Ric Bucher, senior writer, Bleacher Report, podcast Bucher and Friends, covering the NBA since the early 90s and somebody I listen to regularly and trust. It is great to fly you in, commercially, of course. Okay. All right, Bukes, you were on the show earlier this week, and I think it was last week, excuse me, and maybe it was earlier this week. Week's getting lost. Okay. First of all, the response on your phone from executives around the league on what Magic did yesterday. What are people texting you around the league?
Holy Mother Mary, what is going on with that franchise?
Shocked, surprised, or not?
Absolutely. Look, there wasn't a whole lot of respect or admiration for what Magic was doing or had done. They thought it was a bit of a train wreck long before this. But that he would pull the ripcord the way that he did caught everybody off guard. They weren't expecting it. They didn't think it was going anywhere, but they just didn't think that he would do it the way that he did it. And in reflecting on it and looking at Magic, we shouldn't have been that shocked because he's done this before.
Right, bailed.
When he was a head coach, he suddenly realized a couple weeks into the job, oh, I'm not very good at this. I'm not going to have success. I need to get out. When he had a talk show, ooh, this is a lot different. I can't just be Magic. He's really good at being Magic.
Yeah.
And as a result, he gets a lot of opportunities to do things, but being Magic is not enough in those jobs.
Now, what about he and Pelinka yesterday? Greg, I'm not sure if we have the bite ready, but he talked about backstabbing with Rob Pelinka. It feels like he and Pelinka, they weren't boys before this job.
No, it was a weird pairing other than the connection through Kobe with Rob being Kobe's agent. That was the only connection they had. But as a working relationship, there was none. And I can understand where there was sort of a battle for who's going to control this. And especially because Rob was supposed to be the guy that was going to be doing all of the legwork, and Magic was going to be the front man. But I think Rob wanted to establish, hey, I'm not just a worker bee here. I'm a legitimate GM. And so my understanding in getting LeBron here was that LeBron went to meet with him and he brought John Travolta along. Rob wasn't even in that meeting. And it was, to me, that's the telltale thing of why LeBron was here and how they were selling him.
John Travolta and Magic. We're
going to give you the keys to the Hollywood kingdom. We're going to give you the pathway into what you want to do from that front. And then, but when they put out the picture of LeBron actually signing, it was Rob and LeBron in the photo. So there was, from the very beginning, there was a battle in terms of who's going to get the credit for where this franchise goes.
Let's play the tape of Magic about the backstabbing to give it some context on Rob Pelinka.
What I didn't like is the backstabbing and the whispering. I don't like that. You know, I don't like a lot of things that went on that didn't have to go on.
What backstabbing and whispering were you talking about?
Well, you know, it's a lot of that going on in this whole world of professional basketball. It's a lot of that goes on. And so that's all. I'm going to leave it at that.
Pelinka does, for the people that don't follow the NBA regularly, he's the Rob Lowe lookalike, played for the Fab Five, agent, lawyer, very smart guy, kind of works his own villain highway, some say.
But he's not alone. I mean, it is the nature of the NBA in that people are always trying to undercut other people. They're always, there's a line by GMs, everybody's always trying to trade everybody else's players, knowing that it's going to create division, it's going to cause problems within those teams. Or I'm sure Magic heard all of the criticism, and there was a healthy amount of it about what he was and wasn't doing from other GMs and other executives and other teams. And Magic's not used to being anything other than a beloved and respected figure. And I think that's why he bailed.
Pelinka have a shot to get the job?
Can't see that.
Okay,
happening.
so that would be earlier Bill Oram threw out Pat Riley. Pat Riley's still got a place here.
He does, but my understanding was Riley's on the verge of riding off into the sunset with Miami.
Okay, because I just want to throw this out there.
Yeah.
A year ago, I was at the McGregor-Mayweather fight. And I was in a big hoity-toity suite with a bunch of, Jamie Foxx and all these guys.
Joy, this is how he rolls these days,
no,
right?
it's not how I roll.
No, it's great for the show.
I drove up in
He
my
lives
used
a very
Prelude.
fabulous life.
So I drove up my used Prelude, and there was like a bunch of big stars there. And Pat Riley came up to me. He looked fantastic.
Yeah.
My takeaway was, God, if I could look like Pat Riley, he didn't look like a guy that wants to retire to me. If I look like that, at whatever age he is, I don't know. I think Pat Riley's got some life in him.
Well, he might, but for where and I heard this in context with the Miami Heat.
Okay.
To get the Miami Heat back to where, because Pat wants to play for championships. He doesn't want to just do the job. He wants to have a chance at winning it all. And I don't know that he would see this job as getting him any closer to that than that one.
Bingo.
So,
in fact, I'd say the opposite, because at least they have the coach.
Yes.
And do you think Luke Walton, let's segue to that, does he survive?
For now, for sure. And it just kind of depends on who comes in. I mean, look, I've heard a number of names. I've heard Jerry West's name, okay? And I could see, first of all, I can't let that go because the idea of Steve Ballmer and Jeannie Buss fighting over Jerry West just
Delicious.
makes me tingle,
Right.
the idea of that. And I could see the attraction there. And I know people are going to say, Jerry's up there, but his son Ryan is already in the organization, director of personnel.
For the Lakers.
If you could pitch Jerry on the idea that we're going to create a succession plan where you come in and Ryan's going to move up the chain and you're going to get the opportunity to sort of groom him to be the future of this, it makes sense on both fronts. And I know Jerry may be old, but Jerry is still connected and Jerry knows what the job entails. That was the biggest problem with Magic and Rob. You're bringing two people in who don't even know what the job description is. They don't know what it entails. They know it from other sides of the equation, but they don't know it from the inside. Jerry knows that, and he's the one guy who can sit down, that I can think of, who can sit down with LeBron, other than Pat, who can sit down with LeBron, and he's going to have an immediate level of respect. I don't know any other, David Griffin because of their experience, but anybody who hasn't worked with LeBron before, I don't know anybody else who carries that sitting down at the table.
To me, there is a fork in the road. We've all had that in our career.
Yeah.
Go all in on LeBron now. Hire Ty Lue, David Griffin, Anthony Davis. Or Celtics. Get a bunch of picks from Brooklyn. Clippers. Break up Lob City. Go Steph over Monte Ellis. Feels like a fork in the road.
It's an illusion.
Okay.
There is no fork in the road. You're married to LeBron James. Because the reality is, in talking to people around the league, you're not going to get enough for LeBron.
Okay.
If you decided to move him, you're not going to get enough that's going to give you that package to rebuild off of. So and the other thing that you're sending to all the players around the league, this is one other thing Magic did, probably the beginning of the end for Magic before we even knew it, when he criticized D'Angelo Russell, when he said, I need leaders, he's not a leader. Players may have agreed with that on some level, but players protect players. If you talk about a player a certain way, all the other players go, oh, well, what's he going to say about me? You're sending the absolute wrong message. He damaged himself and his ability to work on the free agent market with that, just the way he handled that. Because Magic didn't have any standing to be able to say that. As a player, as a former player, yes. But in that GM position, players don't take kindly to that. So he lost them ultimately there. And that was the first step in the wrong direction. But here's the illusion that you can move on from LeBron, like you would get this cachet of things and you can rebuild and go in another direction. You need to make the most out of what you can with LeBron while you can. Because if you kick him to the curb, after anointing him, after all of that, and he's the face of the league, every other free agent or great player is going to go, well, they can do that to LeBron when things go a little sideways because he got hurt midway through the season and decided, well, we're just going to tear this up and go in another direction. Then they're capable of doing that with me too.
What does it say to you that no authority figure today has spoken for the Lakers?
They don't have one, and they have no idea what to say at this point. They don't have a plan. I mean, this is how unaware they were caught by Magic doing this. And I believe that Magic essentially got out while the one thing he did for him is he didn't delay the inevitable. Because I think we all saw they weren't chances of them getting anybody this summer, not good. You could have done this in the fall. You could have done this midway through next season. This was going to happen at some point. The one benefit he gave them was he did it. He could have done it. That he did it is not the problem. It's how he did it. Without alerting anybody, without having creating an off ramp. He just pulled the ripcord. The plane is going down, and he just grabbed a parachute and jumped instead of like, hey guys, the plane is going down.
Sometimes we create damage for others that we don't see in the moment. Did Magic rambling, unscheduled press conference make the Lakers look so lost that it will hurt landing Kyrie, Anthony Davis, Jimmy Butler? The message to the league is this is a circus.
For sure. For sure. I mean, it may hurt them for anybody who's looking at coming in and taking the job. Never mind the players. I mean, that getting the players is part two. Part one is someone who's going to begin to explore who can we get and to make that contact. They're going to look, I mean, every player's agent is going to look at this franchise and go, wait a minute, what are we getting into? What are our other options?
3 months. Who signs with the Lakers? Or is traded by the Lakers?
Well, I don't see, first of all, the Anthony Davis thing, I don't